What's up, Instagram family? Rose Candela here for my weekly installment of Studio Diaries. Um, you may hear my voice, I've been sick, and I am here, even though I contemplated not being here because I didn't feel like I had anything to say. And I feel like all I want to do is rest, but I want to share that aspect of the creative process with you because it's important. Um, so I haven't been feeling super well. I got sick last week and then just kind of like I'm still residually tired from that, but also the weather went from like 70 degrees to 20 degrees within a 24-hour span. So my body is also like, what's happening? So there's a little sluggishness happening within the transition time, and I'm feeling that, right? I'm feeling that in my heart and my soul, and trying to listen to it. And if you follow me and have been noticing through my stories this week, I had something come up on Monday that took me away from my plans, and I was feeling a lot of things within that. That kind of like being pulled away from a plan feeling. One of the feelings I had was resentment. And this beautiful thing flowed out of that, which is different from what I used to do in my life, which was if I felt something like that, I would try to figure out how to like not be with the uncomfortable, because there's a lot of kind of new age belief, which I was subscribing to at that time, of like don't be be in the darkness, basically, because then you'll get stuck there or create more of it, right? But for me, my practice on Monday was to just be with the like, I do not feel happy about my plans changing, and how can I like release that, right? I'm not trying to hold on to it and make it a grudge, but how can I release that and be with it? And then the next day was beautiful. I mean, it was just like I was with what was happening in my life versus like wishing I was doing something else. And so that brings me to today, where I am committed to sharing this process with you because it's all part of the creative practice of your own lineage in your life and your path. And also, I'm not feeling great in terms of like creative or inspired. I actually spent quite a bit of time this morning. My son is in school, just kind of like wandering around my house, like, what's going on here? And I had this feeling of like, oh, I should finish this thing I started last week, which is like writing out a whole program that is about like what journey I take the women who work with me on. I wanted to finish it. And it's back there. Actually, you'll see these like sticky notes on my table that have been rearranged because they started to fall down and my son was playing with them. And so I was like, oh, today I'll get that organized. And I really just don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like filling my time that I'm feeling like a little uncomfortable with doing stuff. But I do want to share with you. Hi, Takesha. How are you today? I'm getting a text too. Oh my gosh, this is the same thing that happened last week. I've got to turn those alerts off, but I hope you're doing well, honey. So instead of like filling my time with doing, I just decided to paint a little bit this morning and take a walk. And I'm gonna then just do like one thing off of my list and then listen to what percolates and what comes up next. But I want to share with you the painting that I've been working on this morning. For two reasons is what I'm working on, and I'm committed to sharing that with you, but also I was not loving it. That's why I had to take a walk. I was like, what am I doing? The paint was not doing what I wanted it to. My brush was kind of gunky. It's like all reflection of life right now. But I want to share it with you because I'm going to add some crayon, Neo Kardash crayon to it. If you saw some of my posts from yesterday, my son and I were playing with oil pastels. These are water wax pastels. So they're a little bit different, but I really was enjoying the feeling of playing with crayons and being in the moment. And I'm gonna add that to this piece. And I'm gonna just do some line work, like meditative line work with you, if you wanna watch it. Um, Also to represent this like inner path, inner journey that we often go on, which is not linear, but is from a one point to another, right? Takesha says she's picked up watercolor again. I am so curious about that. How's it going for you? And also, what what type of watercolor are you using? I mean, I'm sure there's like a bunch, right? But are you using palettes? I often call these watercolors, but they're not. They're like drawing inks, but I kind of play with them like watercolor. So tell me about it, and send me some pictures, please. I would love to see. Yeah, awesome. Takesha's an amazing woman. She's multifaceted in all her gifts, and one of them is creating an art. And I fully support you with all your creative endeavors. It's a challenge to release my attachment to doing it right. Okay, so that's cool. I will say something about that, because watercolor is so permanent, right? Like if you're playing with pencil, you can erase it. Watercolor has this tendency to feel like it's there, and I think that's also one of the gifts of the watercolors, is that you have to work with those mistakes, right? Those like, not failures, but those moments of like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. And watercolors are so forgiving, right? And they can be layered and layered and layered. You have to have time to like let them dry. Takesha says it's a challenge to release my attachment to doing it right. Oh, that's what I just read. Sorry, Mercury's in retrograde, y'all. Yeah, so watercolors are interesting, and it's one of the reasons why I use them a lot, is because I have to work with those like blurbs, with those mistakes, and I really think there's no way to use them wrong. There just really isn't. I mean, of course, there are techniques that can like help you to get what you're looking for, to like get you to the point of, seeing what you want to see. But yeah, there's a lot of forgiveness work in watercolor, and that's why I use them. That's why I give them to my students that are like just never have painted before or are trying to rekindle their painting, because it gives you that relationship and experience with something that's like kind of permanent, and then you have to work with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip the camera and show you what I'm working on, and do a little line work and talk a little bit too. Thank you for being with me. I also have had like eye stuff going on, so if I look like, I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but there's just been a lot of stuff happening besides like the internal process of being human. A lot of physical things. It is transition season. Woo woo. Okay, can y'all see that? You can kind of see that. So I'm not gonna be able to read the screen at the moment, but this is what I was working on this morning. It is a turquoise based paint. Excuse me. Or I'm sorry, teal. I'm not good with colors, but I used some acrylic paint actually on this that I watered into an old, this thing. So I added water to it in case anybody wants a little life hack. These are sold separately to, this isn't life hack, what is it? Like art hack. So I don't know if it's, if like what's sold in here is watered down paint, but I have found that it's the same consistency. So, of course, if you want to buy these separately, please do from your favorite local art supply store. And then I just added it with a brush. I did it before coming on live because I wanted it to be a little bit dry. And then I added some hydro color some watercolor from Dr. Phil Martin. No, Dr. P.H. Phil Martin is the talk show host, y'all. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. So here we go with the Neo Kardash wax water soluble crayon. This is also something I give my making and mentoring clients. It's really fun, these crayons, because it reminds us of like being in relationship with crayons as a kid. My son yesterday just went absolutely free with the crayons, and it taught me so much. I wrote about it in my post, but just about like being with the process of making a mess, being with like continuing to do it even if you're not sure what's happening. He uses so many colors at once that I'm always like really, really inspired to new palettes. Because we get in our patterns, right? We get in our groove of like, oh, I'm an artist that uses blue. So line is one of my favorite things. If you've been following me for a while, or if you're new here, you may see that a lot in my paintings. I use a lot of line. And actually I used to do these super meticulous works that had a lot of like detail in them. And I don't do them as much anymore. I'm not as drawn to doing that. And also I don't have the same amount of time that I did. Even though at the time that I started that style for myself, embracing that style for myself, I was working at a university and had 40-hour weeks. But I would just come home. I was single. I would listen to podcasts and paint for a couple hours, draw, and that was my life. And I did that, I did that for a while, even when I wasn't single and stuff. But it's just things evolve. So you have to be compassionate with yourself, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I should go back to that style, and I start trying to do it and I get frustrated because it's just not what's calling to me right now, right? It's like if it's not what you're called to do, but you're trying to fit yourself into doing it, then it kind of doesn't work out. And a big part of that, honestly, is like going into the past and trying to recreate something you did in the past versus like being with the moment of what's happening right now, what you're being called to do right now. So a lot of people I know right now are kind of sick in terms of like battling colds. So I want you to know, if that's something you're going through right now, I see you. I'd also like to, as I say that, I'm like coughing. I'd also like to dedicate this time in my studio to my sweet friend, Jason Ross Martin. He has been going through so much with his health right now and being a warrior with some heart stuff. And I don't want to, it's his business to talk about it, but I just want to say, Jason, that this is for you. And I can't wait to see what you create next. So Jason Ross Martin is a really integral person in the story of how I began dating my husband, who is named Jason as well. But that's for another time. Okay, so these crayons are super cool because they're water soluble. And what that means is like, basically when you add water to them, they move around. So I'm going to do that just to show you. My brush is not clean. Let me clean it. If anybody's still here, I just love you so much, and can't really tell. I can't tell if anybody's still here, but okay, see how it's turning? Let's see where the best place to show you. I mean, you may know about these if you're an artist, but the lines darken when the water is added to it. You can also wet the crayons and pull the color down, do some shading. This is what's up. So here's this line work today. And y'all know me. I'll be adding more to this eventually. Let some more of this line starts to make more of a form. But here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I hope that you all have a beautiful day. Thanks for joining me. So the theme of this is like, just being where you are. Kind of not trying to change it. But at the same time, noticing if you're sticking yourself in a rut or if the rut is just happening and you can ride the wave and carry on and be with it and know it'll change, right? Everything changes. Okay, loves. See you next time. Thank you.